Welcome to Learn Excel Online, Lesson 15, Data, Bonus Material. Many students ask for training on Excel's Power Query Editor. The purpose of the Power Query Editor is to get, meaning import, data and transform that data during the import process. There are many benefits to importing and transforming data with the Power Query Editor. The primary benefit is efficiency in updating the source data and maintaining the accuracy of the original data. If your imported data is replaced with a new file with the same name and saved in the same folder, Excel can automatically refresh the imported data using the steps that are saved in the Power Query Editor. Another benefit of loading external data through the Power Query Editor is that Excel imports the data formatted as a table. For more details about benefits of formatting as a table, review Lesson 8, Formatting. There are several features of the Power Query Editor that Excel users should be familiar with that include removing excess heading rows, promoting a row to field headers, splitting a column, renaming a column, changing a column's data type, hiding a column, loading the data to a new Excel worksheet, returning to the Power Query Editor, sorting, use group by to subtotal, set refresh options in Excel, change the data source. For this lesson, you will want to begin by downloading the Excel workbook, Transform PQE. Let's switch to Excel and begin with a blank new workbook. For the most part, in your instructor's experience, most Excel users typically open a downloaded data set, select all the cells, copy the selection, switch workbooks, and paste the data into a different file. While not technically wrong, there is a better way. In a blank Excel workbook, let's navigate to the Data tab of the ribbon. Bear in mind the commands you see on my Windows computer will look slightly different on an Apple computer. Toward the far left, click the Get Data command button in the Get and Transform Data group. After clicking the drop-down arrow on the right edge of the Get Data command button, navigate to the From File command, then from Excel Workbook. Apple users are presented with a new window to select the type of file to import. Note there are many types of data we can get, meaning import. Worth noting, Windows Excel has the ability to import more file types than Apple Excel. In the Import Data dialog, let's navigate to our Downloads folder and select the Transform PQE file we downloaded earlier. In the lower right corner of the Import Data dialog, click the Import button. Because this file has more than one sheet tab in the Navigator window, use the panel on the left to select, click the Demo 1 Sheet tab. Note to the right we see a preview of the data on that sheet tab. Although we could finish the task now by clicking the Load button, that would require we manually repeat our needed transformation steps in the future, each time the data is refreshed. Toward the bottom right, let's click the Transform Data button. Then let's wait for the Power Query Editor to load. The data we are previewing requires several transformations which are common with business report data. Notice the first column has a label, report title, and the remaining columns are not named. That is because the heading row starts in row 3 and the data begins in row 4. To resolve the issue, on the Home tab of the Power Query Editor's ribbon, locate and click on the Remove Rows command button. Note there are many options here, but for this example, let's select the first option. Click the Remove Top Rows command. In the Remove Top Rows window, we need to enter a number for how many rows to remove. Type a 2 and click the OK button. Note on the right of the screen is a Query Settings panel that shows the transformation step we applied. The Power Query Editor does not support the traditional undo command. To delete a step, in the Query Setting panel on the right, right-click the mouse on the step to undo, then left-click the delete command. Next, we can promote the column labels in row 1 to the column headers. On the Home tab of the ribbon toward the center, locate and click the Use First Rows as Headers command button. Notice now we have promoted row 1, and in the Query Settings panel on the right, we have added another step. This command is also found on the Transform tab of the ribbon. Oftentimes, when we import business report data, the dates in the first column will display as serial numbers. Additionally, in this dataset, notice that every date has a decimal portion that indicates a timestamp. Though not required, best practice would be to separate the date and time into two columns. For those unaware of serial number dates, each number represents the number of days that have elapsed since January 1st, 1900 to the date shown, once we format it with the correct data type. The value to the right of the decimal is the time of day, where 0.5 is 12 noon. In the Power Query Editor, we will find the Split Columns command button on both the Home tab of the ribbon and the Transform tab of the ribbon. Click on the Date column heading to select that column for the split. On the ribbon, let's click the Split Column command. Note there are many ways to split columns, using a delimiter or number of characters. While it might be tempting to use the decimal as a delimiter, that would delete the required period. Instead, for this example, let's choose number of characters. In the Split Column by Number of Characters dialog, type a 5 in the box and below. For split options, choose once as far as left as possible. We do not need to worry about the advanced options in this example. Let's click the OK button. Now we have two columns, labeled Date 1 and Date 2. And the date and time number formats need to be adjusted as well. To rename the second column as Time, right-click the column heading and toward the bottom of the pop-up context-sensitive menu, left-click the Rename command. Type Time and press the Enter key. We can also find the Rename command button on the Transform tab of the ribbon. Let's click again on the Date column on the left. To change the data type, on the Transform tab, also on the Home tab, let's click on the Data Type Whole Number command button and select the Date Only type. If you are presented with a dialog, click Add New Step. Click on the Time column label. From the Data Type drop-down, choose the time. Select the Sales column to the far right. Change the data type to currency. At times when we import data, there are excess columns that we do not need in our reports. In this example, let's assume that we do not need to import the time column. Click the Time column header to select that column. From the Home tab of the ribbon, click the Remove Columns command button, and from the drop-down, click Remove Columns. Bear in mind that removing columns does not remove them from the data source. Removing columns only prevents them from being imported into Excel. To finish with the Power Query Editor, on the Home tab of the ribbon, click the Close and Load command button to the far left. Excel imports the transformed data to a new sheet tab with the same name as the Source Data sheet tab. Also notice to the right side of the screen, Excel displays a Queries and Connections panel. Hover your mouse over the Demo 1 sheet and notice Excel provides a preview window. One way to return to the Power Query Editor is to click on the Edit button toward the bottom left edge. Another way to return to the Power Query Editor is to right-click on the Demo 1 query and left-click the Edit command. And yet another way to return to the Power Query Editor, Windows only, is to hold the Alt key on the keyboard and tap the F12 key on the top row. Let's return to the Power Query Editor. The Power Query Editor offers the ability to sort the data during the import process. In Intermediate Excel, we learned that sorting is a requirement to use the Data Subtotal feature, which groups by a sorted column. For more information on the Data Subtotal feature, please review the Lesson 5 video. The Power Query Editor also offers a group by feature, similar to Excel's Data Subtotal feature or Excel's group by function, and it does not require that we first sort a column of repeating values, typically words. Imagine we want to summarize sales by country. Again, not required to use the group by feature, but to sort the country column, click in the country column to select it. Select the Home tab of the ribbon. The sort commands appear to the left of the Split Column command. To summarize the sales by the country, we can find the Group by Command button on both the Home tab of the ribbon and the Transform tab as well. When we click on the Group by Command button, the Power Query Editor displays a Group by dialog window. The basic Group by is a single column, where the Advanced Group by allows multiple columns. Sticking with the basic Group by, select a column of repeating text values the first drop-down. For this example, select Country. Below that, name the new column Total. From the Operation drop-down, change Count function to Sum. To the right of the operation, select the Sales column. Click the OK button to complete the task. Close and load your report. Finally, back in Excel, we can manually refresh the connection to the source data to update Excel if the source data's row count or the underlying values change. One way to refresh, meaning update, is to point to the Queries and Connections panel on the right side of Excel. The Refresh button is to the right of the query. It looks like a worksheet with a circular arrow. We can right-click the query and left-click the Refresh command. We can also click the Refresh button on the Table Design tab of the ribbon. However, all those approaches are manual, perhaps easy to overlook. Best practice would be to set Refresh to automatically occur. From the Table Design tab of the ribbon, click the drop-down arrow on the Refresh command button and click the Connection Properties command. In the Connection Properties dialog, click the second checkbox, Refresh Every, and check the third checkbox, Refresh when opening the file. Click the OK button, and now you can ignore the manual refresh issue. Finally, in the future, if you need to change the source data to a newer file, perhaps a report you would download next month or next year, we can adjust the location of the source data, and Excel will apply all the transformations automatically. The current data set spans from the year 2022 to 2024. Let's navigate back to the website, download the PQE 2025 file, which has the latest data. Switch back to Excel and click the Data tab of the ribbon. Select the Get Data button. From the drop-down, select the Data Source Settings command. Excel shows the connection to the source data file. Toward the bottom left, click the Change Source ... command. Browse to the Downloads folder and click the Transform PQE 2025 file. In the lower right, click the Import button. Click the OK button. Click the Close button. The report has been updated to show data from 2022 to 2025. For practice, try to repeat the steps in this lesson using the same files, but select the Demo 2 Sheet tab to import. Thank you for watching part 1 of the Power Query Editor training.